better have your shit together, because this may be the end of what we see when it comes to Martell Holt if you do not beat these charges. Nobody's taking any type of chances with anybody that has anything linked to anything that even alludes to abuse on women. And so it's just, to me, it's not part of his character. I just think she's upset, and she has a right to be upset, and she's scorned. I get it, but and he's still with Arionne, and so yeah, I would be petty too. Arionne took him from her all them years, and so now she's gonna take him from Arionne in the world. So it's tit for tat. That karma, you don't have a date on how that karma is returned, and so Martell just gonna have to eat this one. So y'all want to pray for him? Pray for him. If you don't, send him to hell. Okay. Here's his mugshot though. Yeah, there you go.
Guys, stop what you're doing, because Huntsville is in flames again. And this time, it's not just the usual shade, side eyes, and court gossip. It's a full-blown inferno, fueled by none other than the queen of explosive revelations herself, Tasha K. The same woman who has made headlines for dismantling reputations and exposing secrets that people thought were buried forever has just set her sights back on Martell Holt and Arionne Curry. And let me tell you, the bombshells she dropped are enough to make you sit straight up in your chair and rethink everything you thought you knew about Love and Marriage Huntsville. This isn't just drama, it's betrayal, manipulation, and scandal on a level that feels like reality TV has spilled over into real life. But here's the twist: what Tasha revealed doesn't just involve Martell and Arionne's messy entanglement, it paints a darker, more disturbing picture of power games, deception, and secrets that could shatter lives and careers if proven true. And once again, fans are left wondering, has Martell reached a new low, or has Arionne finally been dragged into something even she can't handle? Grab your popcorn, clutch your pearls, because Huntsville hasn't seen chaos like this before. Before we get into the shocking revelations, let's step back and remember where all this started. Martell Holt wasn't always the villain of the story. In fact, when Love and Marriage Huntsville first aired, many fans saw him as a successful, charismatic husband and father who, alongside his then-wife Melody, represented the picture-perfect black power couple. They were builders not just of homes, but of a dream. They had the business, the beautiful family, and the charm that drew fans in. For a while, Martell was Huntsville's golden boy, the man who had it all. But behind the smiles and business meetings was a secret that would eventually rip everything apart. Enter Arionne Curry, the woman who became known as Martell's mistress, but who in her own mind, was something much more. She wasn't just a fling, she was part of his double life. For years, while Melody was at home raising children and building an empire, Martell was sneaking off to see Arionne, promising her things he never truly delivered, but keeping her tethered just enough to never let go. What nobody expected was that their affair would not only destroy Martell's marriage but also taint his image forever. By the time Melody found the strength to leave, the damage was done. Fans were split. Some blamed Martell's arrogance, others pointed fingers at Arionne for inserting herself into another woman's marriage. But either way, the couple that once symbolized black excellence was now a cautionary tale of betrayal and heartbreak. And just when it seemed like the dust was finally starting to settle, just when people thought Martell might try to clean up his image and focus on co-parenting peacefully, Tasha K decided to blow the entire story wide open again. What Tasha K revealed sent shockwaves through Huntsville and beyond. According to her, Martell's relationship with Arionne wasn't just about love, lust, or poor decisions, it was strategic. Tasha claimed that Martell used Arionne as a pawn in his ongoing battle with Melody. Every detail, every encounter, every time Arionne posted online, it was part of a larger plan to rattle Melody, to keep control, and to make sure she never truly moved on from the pain he caused. But that wasn't the worst of it. Tasha dropped another bomb: allegations that Martell may have recorded private moments, not only with Melody but also with Arionne, using them as leverage whenever things didn't go his way. Think about that for a second. The idea that a man would stoop so low as to use the most intimate moments of women's lives as tools of control shook fans to the core. Suddenly, this wasn't just a messy love triangle, it was something much darker, bordering on manipulation that went far beyond reality TV chaos. And as if that wasn't enough, Tasha hinted at something else, something that had fans clutching their phones and replaying her words over and over. She suggested that Martell and Arionne weren't as solid as they wanted the world to believe. Behind the Instagram lives, the shade, and the occasional clapback, Arionne was allegedly crumbling under the weight of being Martell's forever side piece. Tasha claimed Arionne had reached a point where even she realized she had traded her own peace of mind for a man who would never truly give her the respect or position she craved. For years, Arionne tried to paint herself as the one who won Martell's heart, but in reality, what she got was ridicule, backlash, and a man whose loyalty was as thin as a sheet of paper. Tasha described her situation as heartbreaking because no matter how much Arionne tried to act unbothered, the reality was clear: she had sacrificed her image, her reputation, and her future for a man who never valued her beyond convenience. Fans were stunned. The internet lit up like wildfire, with hashtags flying and timelines filled with debate. Some fans said they weren't surprised at all. After all, Martell had shown this side of himself countless times before. But others felt genuine sadness, especially for Melody, who seemed to be reliving betrayal after betrayal every time new details came out. It wasn't just about Martell being unfaithful anymore, it was about him weaponizing relationships, using women as pawns, and showing a pattern of behavior that many now called outright abusive. For Arionne, the fallout was equally brutal. Once again, she was reminded that the world didn't see her as Martell's great love, they saw her as the enabler, the woman who allowed herself to be dragged into his chaos, and who in many ways helped him hurt Melody over and over again. Instead of gaining sympathy, Arionne was mocked, criticized, and labeled as someone who would forever be stuck in Martell's shadow. The emotional toll was heavy. Melody had already shown strength beyond measure, walking away from a toxic marriage, raising her kids with grace, and focusing on her own healing. But now, she was forced to watch as Martell's mess spilled into the public once more, dragging her name into stories she never asked to be part of. For fans, it was heartbreaking to see a woman who had endured so much continue to have her peace disrupted by the very man she fought so hard to free herself from. And here's where the story turns even more dramatic. Tasha hinted that this might just be the beginning, that more secrets could come out, that Martell's downfall might not just be about reality TV, but could creep into legal and financial troubles if the right people decided to take action. Suddenly, this wasn't just Huntsville gossip, it was the kind of story that could end careers, reputations, and futures. For Martell, the image he worked so hard to build, the businessman, the father, the reality TV star, was cracking. Fans weren't laughing at his jokes anymore. They weren't buying the charm he used to get away with so much. Instead, they were seeing him for what he truly was, a man who thrived on control, who used women as pawns, and who never seemed to learn from the destruction he left behind. And for Arionne, the harsh reality was impossible to ignore. No matter how many times she went live to defend herself, no matter how many times she tried to clap back, the public had already decided who she was in this story. And once the internet decides you're the villain, there's no turning back. So, what does this all mean? It means that Love and Marriage Huntsville isn't just giving us reality TV drama, it's giving us a real-life lesson in how far ego, pride, and manipulation can destroy not just a marriage, but entire lives. Martell's story is no longer about one man's bad decisions, it's about a pattern of betrayal that keeps coming back, each time more damaging than the last. Tasha K may have been the one to light the match, but Martell provided the gasoline. And now, the fire is raging so hot that it's hard to see how anyone involved comes out of this unburned. Family, the question is no longer whether Martell Holt cheated. We've known that for years. The question is, how far did he go to maintain control? And how much longer will Arionne allow herself to be his pawn in this twisted game? Most importantly, how much more can Melody take before she decides to fight back in ways that go beyond words and into action? One thing is certain, this story is far from over. And if Tasha K has more receipts, Huntsville better brace itself, because the next wave of drama could change everything. So, what do you think? Did Tasha K finally expose the real Martell Holt and the truth about Arionne Curry's role in his downfall? Or is there still more hiding in the shadows, waiting to come out? One thing is for sure, the storm isn't slowing down anytime soon. Family, let's slow this down and really sit with what just happened. Because when Tasha K dropped these revelations, she didn't just stir up a little mess for the blogs, she cracked open a box that had been nailed shut for years. And the ending to this story doesn't feel like an ending at all. It feels like the beginning of something much bigger, something that might not only change Martell and Arionne's image but could shift the very foundation of Love and Marriage Huntsville as a whole. Think about it. For years, Martell has been moving through life like chaos itself, dodging accountability, laughing at criticism, and brushing off consequences. He thought he was untouchable because he could flash a smile, deliver a smooth line, and distract fans with his confidence. But what happens when charm no longer works? What happens when the very people who once defended you start realizing that every single time your name trends, it's attached to scandal, manipulation, or betrayal? That's where Martell stands now, stripped of the armor he's worn for so long. And Arionne, let's be honest here. She's been hanging on for years, trying to prove to the world that she's not just the mistress, not just the shadow trailing behind Martell's bad decisions. But no matter how many Instagram lives she hosts, no matter how many times she claps back online, she can't escape the role she stepped into. The public has written her into this script as the enabler, the forever side piece, and that's a reputation she may never shake. That's the tragedy of it, because while she might have convinced herself that she was fighting for love, what she ended up with was heartbreak, humiliation, and a permanent place in a storyline that's more nightmare than fairy tale. But here's the chilling part: Tasha's revelations weren't just about messy relationships or secret recordings. They pulled the curtain back on a man who seemed willing to weaponize intimacy, to use private moments as tools of power. That takes us beyond reality TV. That takes us into a space where women's safety, dignity, and humanity are being put on the line for one man's ego. And when you see it from that angle, the laughter stops. The entertainment factor fades. What's left is something darker, a pattern of control and exploitation that no network edit can pretty up. Fans aren't blind. They see the toll this has taken on Melody. They see a woman who carried the weight of betrayal, who endured humiliation on a national stage, and who somehow managed to walk away with grace. But how many times should she be forced to relive the same pain every time another revelation surfaces? How many more headlines should drag her name into Martell's spiral? At some point, even the strongest woman reaches a breaking point. And many fans believe that Melody, with her growing platform and rising influence, is nearing the moment where she will stop letting Martell's actions speak for her and start taking action of her own, whether that means legal, financial, or personal. And let's not forget the kids. Because behind all of this, the rumors, the shade, the court battles, are children who didn't ask for any of it. They didn't ask to see their parents dragged across social media, to hear whispers about tapes, or to watch the world debate their father's character. Every time Martell makes a choice to stir chaos, it doesn't just affect him, it ripples through his entire family. And that's where the heartbreak cuts deepest. Now let's circle back to Tasha K. Because if there's one thing she's proven, it's that she doesn't speak unless she believes she's holding cards no one else dares to play. And the way she dropped these revelations with confidence, with boldness, tells fans one thing: she's not finished. She's letting Martell and Arionne know that if they thought this storm was bad, the next wave could be catastrophic. And history tells us that when Tasha K gets involved, things rarely quiet down. They escalate. So what happens next? Well, that depends on Martell. He could finally choose accountability. He could admit his wrongs, stop laughing at the pain he caused, and start rebuilding his life with humility. But let's be real, when has Martell ever done that? When has he ever chosen growth over ego, responsibility over deflection? The odds aren't in his favor. And Arionne? She could finally walk away, reclaim her dignity, and stop allowing herself to be the side character in Martell's never-ending drama. But will she? Or is she too deep in, too tied to the fantasy she built in her head, to see that staying attached to him is destroying her reputation piece by piece? That's the painful question fans keep asking: will Arionne ever choose herself? The bigger picture is this: Huntsville is no longer just a city with a reality show. It has become a stage where betrayal, manipulation, and control are playing out in real time. And viewers aren't just watching, they're judging, they're reacting, they're holding people accountable in ways that networks never expected. This isn't entertainment anymore, it's a case study in how public opinion can make or break someone's future. And the irony? Martell created this stage for himself. By chasing attention, by mocking accountability, by thinking he could outsmart the truth, he handed the world every piece of the puzzle it needed to tear down his image. He thought he was untouchable. But now, he's standing in the middle of a fire that he lit, with nowhere left to run. So family, let me ask you this, what does redemption even look like for Martell Holt? Is it even possible at this point, or has he burned through every chance he's ever been given? And for Arionne, how long can she keep defending a man who has given her nothing but heartbreak in return? And most importantly, what does this mean for Melody, the woman who has carried herself with dignity while her private life was used as a spectacle for the world? Maybe the answer is that this isn't Martell's story anymore. Maybe the real story is Melody's strength, her resilience, and her refusal to let betrayal define her. Maybe it's about the fans who see through the lies, who stand behind her, and who won't let the world forget what she endured. Because at the end of the day, Martell's name might make headlines, but Melody's strength is what inspires. Tasha K may have shocked fans with her revelations, but the truth is, this story was always heading here. The cracks were always there. The patterns were always obvious. And now, under the spotlight of public scrutiny, the empire Martell built on lies and manipulation is collapsing in front of us. So buckle up, family. Because if this is what Tasha K revealed now, imagine what she's holding for later. Imagine what receipts haven't yet seen the light of day. The storm is only beginning, and when it hits full force, Huntsville won't just be on fire, it'll be scorched earth. Until then, the world is watching. Martell's every move. Arionne's every word. Melody's every step forward. And one thing is clear, no matter what happens next, this story will leave scars that no amount of charm, no Instagram live, and no smooth talking can ever cover up. So I'll leave you with this: when a man shows you who he is, believe him the first time. Martell has shown us again and again. The question is, who's still willing to look the other way? And who's finally ready to close the book on his chaos for good? Family, this isn't just reality TV anymore, it's reality. And the ending hasn't been written yet. As we come to the close of this story, it's impossible to ignore how heavy the journey has been. From the very beginning, this has never been just another headline or gossip piece, it's a real reminder of how fragile people's lives are when power, fame, and secrets collide. Every twist, every revelation, and every unanswered question has left us with more than just shock, it has left us with a deep sense of reflection. What stands out the most is how quickly lives can change. One decision, one secret, or one betrayal can alter everything forever. The characters in this story were not simply celebrities living behind cameras and flashing lights, they were human beings, facing fears, mistakes, regrets, and hopes, just like anyone else. That humanity, hidden beneath the glitz and drama, is what makes this story cut so deep. As the dust settles, we're left asking ourselves, what lessons are we supposed to take away from all of this? Maybe it's the importance of truth, even when it's painful. Maybe it's the value of loyalty, because once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Or maybe it's a reminder that no amount of fame or fortune can protect someone from the consequences of their actions. But beyond the lessons, there's something else. This ending should leave us with a sense of awareness. Stories like this remind us to look closer at the things we often overlook. Behind the smiles we see on television, behind the luxury cars, the red carpets, and the staged perfection on social media, there are struggles, heartbreaks, and scars we never see. Some wounds are carefully hidden, while others burst into the public eye in ways that can never be erased. For the people caught in the middle of this saga, the future remains uncertain. Some may find healing, some may never recover, and others may continue carrying the weight of choices they didn't even make. That's the painful reality of being tied to something bigger than yourself. It changes your life whether you like it or not. And for us, the audience, this is where we step back. We've walked through the storm of this story together, but now it's time to let the silence speak. Because sometimes, the most powerful ending isn't about more drama or more shocking twists, it's about pausing, breathing, and realizing the weight of everything we've just heard. So, as we close this chapter, let's carry forward the lessons, the emotions, and the clarity that this story has given us. It's not just about them, it's also about us. About how we treat each other, how we value the truth, and how we protect the ones we love before it's too late. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. And remember, behind every story lies a heart, and behind every heart, there's a truth waiting to be heard.